I never thought I'd be standing in a federal patent office with my entire career hanging by a thread, staring at the man who stole everything I built with my own two hands. But here I am. And if you stick with me, you'll see exactly how a boss, someone I once trusted like a father figure, turned my life into a battlefield. His name is Victor Hale. You'll hear more about him soon. Right now, all you need to know is that he wore power like a second skin, and he thought he could bury me under it. But before I explain how Victor hijacked my invention, patented it, and tried to erase me from my own creation, let me just say this. If you've ever had someone take credit for your work, if you've ever been betrayed in silence, then subscribe right now, because this story is yours as much as mine. The beginning wasn't fire and brimstone. It was fluorescent light and stale coffee in a tech startup office where every idea felt like lightning trapped in a bottle. I was the lead engineer, but titles meant little there. What mattered were the ideas, the prototypes we could coax into existence after endless nights. My invention wasn't an accident. It was years of quiet obsession, a compact battery that could hold double the charge at half the weight. Something clean, efficient, and revolutionary for everything from electric cars to medical devices. I called it Helios because in my head it was like bottling the sun. Victor Hale, my boss, wasn't the kind of man you ignored. Tall, sharp-jawed, with a voice that sliced through any room, he had charisma so polished it looked like sincerity. He wasn't just management, he was a climber. He could pitch empty air as if it were gold dust, and investors ate it up. At first, I admired him. He'd pat me on the back after presentations, say things like, "Craig, you've got the kind of brain that can change the world. Let me handle the boring suits. You just keep creating." I believed him. God help me, I believed him. The first shadow came quietly. One evening, I stayed late, sketching out refinements for Helios. I remember the silence of the office, only the hum of the vending machine, the glow of my monitor. Then the sound of a door clicking shut. I looked up and saw Victor walking past, eyes scanning my desk longer than usual. "Still at it?" he asked, smiling in that disarming way. "Almost there," I said. It's going to work, Victor. I can feel it." He nodded. "That's what I love about you, Craig. You don't settle for almost." He left, but something in the way he lingered near my notes made my stomach tighten. Weeks later, the tension sharpened. We had a team meeting with potential partners. I was supposed to present Helios in its prototype stage, but Victor intercepted me before the conference room. "Let me handle this one," he said smoothly. "You'll get your spotlight soon enough. For now, let me test the waters." I hesitated. "But they'll want the technical—" "Trust me," he interrupted, placing a hand on my shoulder, firm and final. I did trust him. That was my mistake. From inside the conference room, I heard his voice, animated, magnetic, as he unveiled my invention. My phrases, my analogies, even my quiet joke about bottling the sun. It was all his now, repackaged through his grin. When he emerged, flushed with triumph, he clapped my back. They loved it. "We're in business, Craig. This is the start of everything." But he hadn't once mentioned my name. The betrayal deepened when I noticed subtle changes in our internal files. My drafts of the Helios design were copied, metadata scrubbed, timestamps edited. At first, I thought it was a glitch, maybe an IT issue. But then I found a document labeled Victor Hale, Helios Patent Application. The air left my lungs. He wasn't just taking credit, he was cutting me out entirely. I wanted to confront him right then, storm into his office, slam the printout onto his desk. But something held me back. Fear? Maybe. Or maybe it was the weight of knowing how carefully Victor moved in the corporate jungle. He'd already charmed investors, the board, even our legal counsel. I'd look like the bitter subordinate crying wolf. So I hesitated. And in that hesitation, he moved faster. Close call number one came in the form of a board dinner. I wasn't supposed to be there, but one of the junior analysts, Lena, tipped me off. She said, "You should hear what Victor's planning tonight." So I went. I slipped into the hotel's banquet hall, standing at the edge, half hidden behind the pillar, as Victor toasted to his invention. Investors raised glasses to him. "To Hale's brilliance," they said. I gripped the pillar until my knuckles whitened. Then Lena whispered, "If you don't fight back soon, you'll be nothing more than his ghost." I started keeping records, every sketch, every draft, every email. I backed them up on encrypted drives, stashed them where no one could tamper. Still, Victor was steps ahead. He filed the patent under his name, publicly announcing it as his brainchild. Headlines followed, "Victor Hale to revolutionize energy storage." I watched my life's work being paraded under another man's banner. That's when I met Shane Dyer, a patent lawyer with a reputation for brutal precision. He wasn't warm, but he was effective. When I slid the pile of evidence across his desk, he flipped through it with quick, sharp glances. "This is solid," he said finally. "But going against Hale won't be easy. He's got influence. He'll smear you if he can. Are you ready for that?" I nodded, though doubt clawed at my insides. Close call number 2 hit harder. One night, walking back to my car, I felt someone trailing me, a shadow in the parking garage. When I turned, Victor himself stepped out, casual, smiling. "You know," he said, leaning against a pillar, "ambition can be dangerous. If you really think you can play this game against me, you'll regret it. Better men have tried." His voice was soft, but the threat behind it was steel. I said nothing, just gripped my keys tighter and walked past him. But inside, I was shaking. The hearing loomed, a formal review at the patent office to settle disputes over intellectual ownership. It was the arena where everything would come to light. In those days leading up to it, I barely slept. My mother's voice echoed in my head from years ago. "Truth has weight, Craig. Lies float, but truth sinks deep. It leaves marks." I wanted those marks to show. The day of the hearing, the room felt more like a trial than a bureaucratic process. Long oak tables, panelists with stern faces, folders stacked high. Victor sat across from me in a tailored suit, his smile as sharp as ever. When he spoke, it was with the authority of a man used to being believed. Helios was my vision. My leadership made it possible. Without me, it wouldn't exist. For a moment, even I almost doubted myself. That's how convincing he was. Then it was my turn. My hands trembled as I placed a stack of documents on the table. Emails, drafts, timestamps, even the original sketches on napkins, signed and dated in my handwriting. But the real blow was a video, an old clip from our office security camera, showing me alone at 2 a.m. soldering the first Helios prototype, weeks before Victor had ever mentioned it. The silence in the room was thick. Victor's mask cracked just slightly, his jaw tightening, his fingers drumming too fast. One of the panelists leaned forward. "Mr. Hale, can you explain this?" Victor opened his mouth, but no words came. For the first time, the man of infinite charm was speechless. The climax wasn't a cheer or applause. It was the quiet collapse of a facade. The panel ruled in my favor. Helios was legally recognized as my invention. But victory didn't feel like fireworks. It felt like exhaustion. Relief mixed with the ache of betrayal. Victor didn't look at me as he left the room. For just a flicker, I saw regret in his eyes, not for what he'd done, but for losing. The aftermath was complicated. I kept Helios. Investors reached out, doors opened, but I carried scars. Trust became harder. Success tasted different, tinged with the bitterness of what it had cost. Sometimes, late at night, I'd catch myself wondering if I'd have become this strong without Victor's betrayal. Maybe the fire needed the darkness. But one thing I knew for certain, truth had weight, and in the end, it sank Victor. And me, I walked out scarred, but not broken. Vindicated. This story may be over, but the betrayals never stop. Like this video, share it with your circle, and subscribe to Chronicles of Family Betrayal so you don't miss what's coming next. Another shocking story is just one click away below.